Gaslighting. This is a form of manipulation where someone slowly makes another person doubt their own memory, perception, or reality. It often happens through denial, contradiction, or subtle lies repeated over time. The term comes from the play Gaslight, where a husband tricks his wife into thinking she is losing her mind. What makes it powerful is how gradual it feels, until the person being manipulated starts relying more on the manipulator's version of truth than their own. Guilt tripping. This involves making someone feel responsible for another person's emotions or problems in order to control their behavior. It often sounds like disappointment or sacrifice being emphasized in a quiet, emotional way. Over time, the target may start making decisions just to avoid feeling guilty. It works because people naturally want to maintain relationships and avoid hurting others. Love bombing. This is when someone overwhelms another person with excessive affection, attention, or praise, especially at the beginning of a relationship. It can feel intense and flattering, creating a quick emotional bond. But the sudden shift that often follows is what reveals its purpose. Once attachment is formed, the manipulator may pull back or start controlling, using that early affection as leverage. Silent treatment. This is a passive form of control where someone deliberately ignores or refuses to communicate. Instead of addressing conflict directly, they create emotional distance to make the other person feel anxious or desperate to fix things. It often forces the other person to take responsibility, even when they may not be at fault, just to restore communication. Projection. This happens when someone attributes their own thoughts, feelings, or behaviors onto someone else. Instead of acknowledging their own actions, they accuse others of doing the same thing. It can be confusing because it shifts attention away from the real issue. Over time, it can make the target question their own behavior while the manipulator avoids accountability. Playing the victim. This is when someone constantly presents themselves as the one being wronged, even in situations where they may be responsible. By doing this, they gain sympathy and avoid criticism. It often pulls others into a position where they feel obligated to comfort or defend the manipulator, rather than question their actions. Triangulation. This involves bringing a third person into a situation to create tension, comparison, or jealousy. It can be subtle, like mentioning someone else's opinions or actions to influence behavior. This method creates insecurity and competition, making the target more likely to seek approval or validation from the manipulator. Foot in the door technique. This is a strategy where a small request is made first, followed by a larger one. Once someone agrees to the first step, they are more likely to agree again. It is often used in sales, persuasion, and everyday interactions. The gradual increase makes the final request feel less extreme than it actually is. Fear manipulation. This relies on creating or exaggerating fear to influence decisions. It can involve threats, warnings, or highlighting worst-case scenarios. When fear takes over, logical thinking often becomes secondary. This makes it easier for the manipulator to guide choices in the direction they want. Minimization. This is when someone downplays the impact of their actions or another person's feelings. Instead of addressing harm, they make it seem small or unimportant. Over time, this can make the target feel like their emotions are not valid, leading them to suppress concerns rather than express them. False dilemma. This is when someone presents only two extreme choices, even though more options exist. It forces a decision within a limited frame, often making one option seem clearly better. By controlling the choices, the manipulator controls the outcome without openly forcing it. Reciprocity pressure. This is based on the idea that people feel obligated to return favors. A manipulator may do something seemingly kind or generous, then expect something in return. Even when the return is unreasonable, the sense of obligation can make it difficult to refuse.